Spring. I'm your host, Avon Price, today, and I am so happy today because we're discussing horror films. And I love talking about horror films more than the Mets are happy that they beat the Cubs. So I am with my coworker, Andrew Seegers, and I thought it would be a great idea to talk about the top 10 horror films that we picked that we were loving and everything like that. So Andrew, why don't you tell us, what do you like about horror or scary films?
What I like about horror films is, and you don't see it in a lot of horror films today, I think this is where you and I are going to disagree a little bit, because I like horror films that don't rely on cheap scares like blood and guts and music cues. Music today in horror films is so instructive. It tries to tell you how you're supposed to feel by startling you and everything like that. I like the old movies where Hitchcock or some old directors could find something in everyday life and find a way to make you scared of it. Well, so that's a lot of where I'm coming from.
Well, I would say we're having this debate I like more of the current films that have come out in the 21st century, with a few exceptions. And what I like about it is that it taps in kind of that supernatural or kind of that the unreal kind of
fear of the unknown.
The unknown that we tend to stay away from, and it taps into that what we don't expect or anything like that.
You like some of the newer special effects too.
Exactly,
right?
But I will say with that, because I remember in film school, this is where I would always debate. I don't like when it would be obvious special graphics, because I will give it the classics. Like, you could kind of think that looked pretty real, because all they really had was makeup.
For the time.
Exactly. They had makeup and costumes, and it kind of looked realistic. But now, we're kind of cheating, as you can say, with the special graphics.
Well, you'll see in some of the clips that I'm going to show, you can definitely tell when there's some, like, obvious green screening going on. But if you can find a way to adjust your brain and know, like, oh, in 1961, people found this terrifying.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we have problems now. We're watching it now.
Yeah.
But so Andrew and I, we picked our favorite 5 clips, and we're going to go through it from our least favorite to the top one, and I'm excited about my top one.
I don't think we should call it least favorite. It's our top 5, starting with number 5.
Starting with number 5. Well, I was trying to give the order that we're going in. Yeah. And so the first one I'm going to show is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this was filmed back in, 2002, around that time period. And I would say I love it because it has my favorite Seventh Heaven character, Mary, Jessica Biel, in it. She's so beautiful, but she's in it. And the story of Texas Chainsaw Massacre is 5 friends are stranded in Texas, and they are hunted down and stalked by a chainsaw killer with his psychotic family. So why don't we take a look
real quick.
Okay.
Why didn't you choose the original?
The original? Yeah. Why didn't I choose the original? I think probably because the one I saw, the 2002 one or whatever that is, it was the first one out of the series I saw.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
And my dad had a chainsaw when I was young. Oh. So that, just the whole thing of that always scared me. So let's take a clip. Just take a quick break to watch the clip of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. See, wasn't that just gives you a little chill? And I think what that's interesting about that film is it played on our basic instinct to trust people, because when they were stranded, they trusted these people to help them, and then it turned out to be the worst thing ever.
I think if a movie's going to be scary, it has to find something like that, something normal that everyone can relate to, and then you kind of flip it upside down, which kind of leads me into my first clip that I'm going to show, my number 5. It's a movie from 1979 called When a Stranger Calls. They did do a terrible remake of this a few years ago, but I'm using the original. Pretty simple idea of a woman babysitting in a strange house, and she's tormented by a prank caller the entire time she's there. And so she eventually calls the police and tells them to try and trace the call, because she wants to figure out who's bothering her. And so things get even more terrifying, and he starts saying things to her on the phone that really bother her. So this is the climax of the movie, when she finds out where the call is actually coming from. If anyone has seen this movie before, this was a big scare back in 1979, because it's actually a pretty neat twist. So here it is. This is When a Stranger Calls.
You really scared me. If that's what you wanted. Is that what you wanted?
No.
What do you want?
Your blood all over me.
You don't know who I am. Or where I live. And Dr. Mandrakis will take me home. Or maybe even the police.
You've called the police.
I want to talk to you. Leave me alone!
Jill, this is Sergeant Sacker. Listen to me. We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house. Our squad cars are on the way over there right now. Just get out of that house. Jill? Jill?
So I think that's a great little moment, because you realize the call's coming from the inside. I mean, isn't it every babysitter's worst nightmare to get a prank caller? It's almost like, I remember Wes Craven said he used that scene, the kind of the basis of the opening scene of Scream. And so I like things like that. Horror movies, you know they're important when they influence better movies that come later, and better original movies, not remakes.
And we were just having a debate during that little break about whether the original or the remake is better, but
I've actually never seen the remake.
Well, you got to see it, and then you'll compare it, and then you'll agree with me. But let's transition here. Andrew, I got a question for you. What animal are you most afraid of?
Snakes.
Snakes?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't like poisonous snakes because they can kill me and they look freaky. And plus, it's the devil. It's in the Bible. Okay?
Yeah. Oh, that is a very great point. Now, I will admit, the animal that I am most afraid of, which you're probably aware of, I do not mess with spiders. Spiders freak me out. I still remember being 8 years old, jumping off a bench with my older brother into a bush, and sure well, it was a nest of spiders, and they were crawling all over me. I do not mess with spiders. Even as big as I am and as old as I am, I do not mess with spiders. But since we're on the topic of horror movies, one of the tactics that they use for horror movies is to play on our fears of different animals.
Yeah, phobias.
Yes, phobias and paranoia and all that kind of stuff. So the movie I found, which is appropriate for me, is Eight-Legged Freaks. And Eight-Legged Freaks is about these poisonous spiders that got contaminated with chemicals, and they overgrew and they started hunting down the town. So they were eating people and everything like that. It was made around, 2002, and it's not really the best acting, but it's very entertaining. Corny acting, but it does the job of scaring you. So let's take a moment and look at the opening clip of when the spiders start hunting the town. Even watching that clip is giving me goosebumps. That's how much I do not like spiders. And just for a sidebar, another good spider movie is called Arachnophobia. I won't get into that because that's a whole another can of worms.
Whole other show.
Yes, but I'll let you tell me what movie you have for animal.
Well, snakes are my thing, but there isn't a really good horror movie that's not silly that's about snakes. So I chose something that's a little different. It's Hitchcock's 1961 masterpiece, The Birds. Unlike snakes and spiders, not everyone is scared of birds. If you have a phobia of birds before this movie came out, you were probably one out of maybe 5 people. But he found a way to take, like we said before, something normal, something everyday, and turn it into something terrifying. And maybe now people have phobias of birds because of this movie. This movie created its own phobia. So this is a scene from 1961, Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. It's when the birds attack the schoolhouse of children, and you can see Tippi Hedren and everyone trying to lead them off to safety. So this is The Birds.
I want you to go as quietly as possible. Do not make a sound until I tell you to run. Then run as quickly as you can. Now, does everybody understand? Yes, Miss Hayward. All right, John, you lead the way.
So I think that's an instant when I talked about bad special effects, sometimes taking you out of it a little bit because you can notice like how they map the green screens, like the birds and then the kids and then the background. It's all this layered thing. But still, the concept is terrifying and it influences a director who made a movie that's further on my list, which we'll get to in a little bit. So,
but anything with Hitchcock was amazing.
Yes.
I mean, everything he did is a good classic that we can just totally respect as film buffs. But have you seen the movie Toy Story?
Yeah.
And it's about like toys that come to life. And one scary movie that totally did the flip of toys coming to life in a bad way is the one called Child's Play, Chucky. And what I love about the Chucky movies is not only is it just weird and just kind of just totally out there, but it has sequel movies that are amazing. Like, it's good and entertaining. And for the audience who doesn't know what Child's Play is, Child's Play is about a single mother who gives her son a birthday gift, like this doll that's wanted nationwide, this popular doll. And then she gives him this doll that is actually possessed by a serial killer. So the doll has come to life and it is killing anything and everyone that it comes into contact to. And so here's a clip of when the mother discovers that there's something up with that doll. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Talk to me. Come on, talk. I said talk to me, damn it! All right. Then I'm gonna make you talk. I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid fucking slut! Me!
I know it looks cute, but that doll is creepy. That's why I don't mess with dolls or those dolls that you see in stores. Ever since this movie, it's totally just messed up my interpretation of dolls could be innocent. So that movie is child's play, and it has awesome sequels 2 and 3 that are worth the watch.
I don't know about that.
What?
But speaking of another great original movie that had a lot of unnecessary sequels, my number 3 is the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween. It started as a tiny little low-budget indie film with Donald Pleasance and a little-known actress named Jamie Lee Curtis, who was thrown into stardom after this movie. People talk about all the slasher movies happening right now, the Screams, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. This was the movie that started it all. This was the first. There might have been other little slasher things before it, but this is the movie that started the slasher genre, and this was the very first one. It is classic. It's terrifying. So this is a scene from Halloween when she's being chased to the house by the eponymous villain, Michael Myers.
Well,
pretty good.
I just saw Halloween. What was it? This week on Monday, and it still gave me the heebie-jeebies. And sure enough, the morning I woke up to go to work, I was like moving my dad's car from behind mine. Sure enough, there was a creepy dude down the road just standing there, and it just was the worst timing to have seen that movie.
You can hear the soundtrack playing, ding, 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 ding.
Exactly.
Ding, ding, ding,
and even watching that, I just love scary movies so much, and
Yeah.
just seeing the classics is just totally worth the entertainment and everything like that.
The classics. So we're down to our number 2s.
We're down to our number 2s, and I'm excited for this one. It's called Candyman, and not actually a lot of people know about Candyman. And the Candyman's about kind of the folk tales we hear about, kind of like Bloody Mary, how you're not supposed to say it in the mirror, but they switch Bloody Mary to this Candyman person, and it's down in Louisiana, the deep south. And it takes place when this teacher who's a grad student who's studying about folk tales and all this kind of stuff, seeing where it came from and if it's true. And so when she's doing this in Louisiana, she finds out that there is a really Candyman that comes to life. So I'll discuss more about it, but I want everyone to see the trailer that came out in 1992, the year of my birth, about Candyman.
Candyman, 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 Candyman.
Candyman, flesh and blood? I'm afraid not.
But he lives in the mirror.
You say his name 5 times, he's supposed to come.
That's how he gets you.
You guys don't really believe that, do you? There's no such thing as a Candyman.
Those 3 victims were John Doe's.
But what if it's true? What if the Candyman does exist?
What did you see that night?
Ray's body was
torn apart by something powerful. And it wasn't her brother.
I'm gonna find out what happened.
No! No! There are no monsters.
You brought me here. And only God can save us.
The terror in the mirror returns.
Our journey begins.
To avenge his name. Reveal his past. And fulfill his destiny.
What do you want from me?
Death is a return, you know.
In a motion picture that ends what the first one barely started. Candyman, farewell to the flesh.
Candyman.
That's your number 2.
That's my number 2. And you know, first of all, I remember when I started getting into scary movies, I was probably like 5 years old. In my house, we didn't really celebrate Halloween. I grew up in a very conservative Christian home, so we didn't celebrate Halloween, but I was still allowed to watch scary movies. And one of the ones that my dad would always say, Candyman is a real top one. Okay. So, in honor of my father, I have
sentimental.
Yes, I have to say Candyman. And what I do like about Candyman is, you know, as growing up, you always hear about like different folk tales and different like myth stuff, and that was one that played upon those like kind of childhood bed stories.
That legend sort of thing about it. Yeah.
And I will say it's for it being in 1992, it's very gruesome in the way he killed people. Like it's very bloody. He had a hand for a hook that he was not afraid to penetrate and literally rip you in half. Wow. And it showed all of it. And for something being still in the...
Did he let you watch that when you were a kid?
He had the movie, and I wouldn't say he let me watch it, but it was one of those things that as everyone else was asleep, I went back and watched it on my own.
Dad doesn't know doesn't
exactly.
hurt him.
What he doesn't know don't hurt him, but, you know, I shot myself in the foot by, you know, saying that Candyman's a good movie. And he was like, how did you know about it? But speaking of gruesome, you have a film that's very bloody as well.
Yes, it's a classic.
Okay.
So in the 1970s, Steven Spielberg said that he wanted to make a movie like Hitchcock did, find something and make people scared of it. So he wanted to make people scared of the beach. Ooh. He already knew people were scared of sharks, so he came up with a great idea for a killer shark. So my number 2 is Jaws. And I still remember when my father told me, since we're talking about fathers, that he was afraid to go to the beach for 6 months when this came out. Now, once again, if you see the shark at the end, it does kind of look a little robotic, but for the time, you got to respect what this movie did. So this is a scene from Jaws.
Hey, Mike. I know you got a lot of problems downtown, but I've got a couple of problems at the house I wish you could take care of.
One, I've got some cats parking in front of the house. I can't get down to the office, and that garbage truck next to the office has got to be moved.
So what I need is a red zone. It's a simple thing you can take care of. You've done it before.
Would you come here a minute,
okay?
please?
Please.
Are you okay?
Everything's fine. Yeah, I'm fine. It's fine.
Listen, if the kids go in the water and it's worrying you,
no.
they can play out here on the beach.
All right, let them go.
It's cold. We know all about you, Chief. You don't go in the water at all, do you?
It's some bad hat, Harry.
Chief Brody, you are uptight. Yes. Come on. That's it.
Pippin! 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 Come on, Pippin! Pippin!
To quote Jack Black, he said 2 notes, and we had a villain.
That is very true. That is very true. So we are down. We are down to our number one, and I will say I'm from the trash talk that's been going on in the studios between you, telling me that my number one is not amazing, and my number one is Jeepers Creepers, and
highly forgettable 2001 movie.
It is an amazing movie, and I will tell you why. This is my reason why Jeepers Creepers is probably the scariest movie on my list. It's something in the 21st century that didn't need special graphics. It used techniques from the classics that you've been talking about of makeup and costume, and that makeup on that creature suit is very realistic.
I will give you all that.
It's very realistic. You don't know who this creature is, so it adds that vibe of just creepiness and horror to it. No rebuttal?
I'll give you that.
No rebuttal? Well, let me tell the audience what this Jeepers Creepers is about. It's a brother and sister who are coming home from spring break, and then they encounter a mysterious creature that is feeding on humans for a time period. So it engages in this creature during its feast.
It's just kind of a dumb story.
No, it's kind of an amazing story.
Let's watch the clip.
Let's watch the clip.
What's he doing?
The hell is that?
What the hell was he doing?
He dumped something down that pipe.
Wrapped in a sheet.
Wrapped and roped in a sheet.
Wrapped and roped in a sheet with red stains on it. Just get us out of here.
All right. Grab my cell phone.
Where?
It's in the gym bag.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
The point of having a portable phone, idiot, is that it works when you need it.
I have a power cable for it.
Yeah, and I have a cigarette lighter that doesn't work.
Oh, God damn it, what did I say? My car! You should have taken my car! The hell's he gotten at these? Got it souped up or something?
Gary. Coming up on ass.
What the hell's your problem?
Creepers.
All right, so we're running low on time. So my number one, not a lot to say. First horror movie I ever saw. I watched it when I was 8. It terrified me. Poltergeist, Steven Spielberg. Great idea about a house built on an old burial ground, but they forgot to move the bodies. This is the scene that actually inspired the director of Child's Play to get the idea for Child's Play. So let's look at Poltergeist. every kid has done that in their room. Like, you hear something at night, and you get up and you look and you make sure, and you're always afraid that, like, that weird-looking teddy bear in the corner that looks strange at nighttime is actually still there. That's like what you're really hoping. Anyway, so that's it.
That's our top 5 of each of us, and I will say that your first one, your number 1, isn't as good as mine, but to each their own. But I love talking about scary movies. Scary movies is one of my favorite things to talk about. It actually is one of my favorite genres. I like the suspense that it has, and I love just the technical techniques and just the art that it takes to scare people. Everyone has what they like about it and what they don't like about it. So we can just agree to disagree on some of these things.
Fair enough.
All right. But before I let you go, Green Spring, I have some upcoming announcements for you.